a human being survive on stages meant to facilitate death? Could a mere mortal withstand the perils of Kalos Pokemon League, the pitfalls of Pac-Land, the heights of New Donk City? We're gonna find out today as we take a look at the final base game stages of Smash Bros. Ultimate, what the whole thing is led up to. And it's gonna be a wild ride. As always, we're the size of a Mii fighter and restricted to human abilities, meaning no jumping through platforms or double jumping. Our jumping abilities are also limited to a diagonal Y jump, and we must be able to land on a platform with both feet to count as being able to make it. We also can only navigate on a 2D plane to face the same obstacles as the fighters, and we must be able to last for 5 hours on a course for it to be considered survivable. It gets bonus points if it's both survivable and crossable from both sides. Stages will be marked red for unsurvivable, blue for survivable but not crossable, and green for survivable and crossable. Now last time I left it up to you all to pull Hanon Bow out of limbo and decide if it should be crossable or not by commenting Hanon Bro or Hanon No. And without further ado, with 339 votes for Hanon Bro and 79 votes for Hanon No, Hanon Bow is officially survivable and crossable. Thank you for letting your voices be heard, and congratulations, Hanon Bow believers. So with that settled, let's hop into today's stages. The Great Cave Offensive seems like a lot, but we really only need to focus on these areas, which are the places we can access with our diagonal Y jump abilities. And the main thing preventing us from surviving here are all these patches of lava scattered about. The lack of dripping on the ones against the walls and ceilings might demonstrate a viscosity that shows that the lava has reached its solidification point, which is generally around 800 degrees Celsius, but it wouldn't be much less than that considering it's still glowing, and 800 degrees Celsius is still hot enough to set clothing on fire and roast you like a little marshmallow if you're close enough, which you always are in this area. Also, lava gives off toxic gases like sulfur dioxide that would do major lung damage. But Anna, I feel like I've seen people get close to lava without protective gear and they don't burn up. Like this. Why can these people be this close to lava without getting injured? True, there are absolutely instances of people getting close to lava and being okay. But let me explain why these people, for example, aren't in as much danger in this instance. Number one is that they're outdoors, where the lava is not only starting to cool and crust over, but all of the heat and the toxic gases can disperse into the air instead of being contained. They're also staying upwind of the gases, which is super important. Number two, a lot of times the weather conditions of the area are extraordinarily cold. Like this is in Iceland, where sub-zero temperatures are pretty normal. So the heat from the lava is more balanced out by the temperature of the air. Number three, they're standing around for minutes, not hours like we would be. And number 3.5, just because someone does it does not mean that it's not a very silly, dangerous thing to do. But to contrast that situation with our situation, we're in a pretty enclosed space. Although there are light rays coming from the top, indicating an open ceiling of some sort, the toxic gases we're talking about are heavier than air and thus would collect and pool in the lower areas. And the air temperature from all these lava outlets combined would still be far too high. While it's possible we might be safer up at the very top, where the plant life indicates a more survivable temperature, we unfortunately can't reach the top with our limited jumping abilities. So the Great Cave Offensive is unsurvivable. They won't all be that long, I promise. Kalos Pokemon League is another transforming Pokemon stage with one of the most hardcore dragon set pieces ever. As usual, I try to approach these surviving situations as if it were my first time experiencing the stage. And luckily, it's actually my first time experiencing any of these stages, so it's very accurate. That being said, the Cool Dragon's attack was pretty forecastable, along with Rayquaza's attack, so I wouldn't consider those a major threat. But there are plenty of other threats. Like when side platforms appeared and I was like, I'm not going on these platforms that I know are just gonna disappear again. And then I got sucked into a whirlpool. So the next time I scurried on over to the side platform, only to be swept away by rapids. And there are other dangers too. Whether you get burned to a crisp, sliced up by giant swords, or turned to metal, I don't believe one would come out of this one intact. Kalos Pokemon League is unsurvivable. The Coliseum stage just has a bunch of platforms that rise and lower in different configurations, so really nothing too challenging. And if you look on the ground, you can see exactly where the platforms are and avoid them, so truly no big deal at all. And you can run across as well. So Coliseum is our first survivable one. Flat Zone X is a stage that has several mini-games that mimic the ones from the Game & Watch series. We've established in previous videos that simply being in a game atmosphere won't affect us as humans, so we'll instead just look at the inherent danger of the contents of each minigame. And really, most of them are pretty unextraordinary. Man, y'all are really bad at your jobs. Luckily for us, the lion minigame doesn't actually contain any lions, so aside from maybe worrying about getting hit in the face by a sausage, the only minigame we'd really have to worry about is Helmet, where tools fall from the sky. And admittedly, this is super hazardous. But once you saw one hammer coming, which I was able to avoid on my first try, you could pretty easily shelter under the roof or something. And the oil this guy spills just makes things slippery, it doesn't do damage to you or anything. And since we can run across the stage as well, Flat Zone X is fully survivable. Palutena's temple is going to suffer the same fate as the other Kid Icarus stage from a previous video because it too is located at an altitude far too high for humans to survive. Palutena's temple is unsurvivable. Wow, congratulations! We've finally found my least favorite level of all time. This is the literal worst. It's called Gamer from Game & Wario, and the basic premise is that if 5 volts, or the mom, catches you up and about, she demon shockwave powers you to death or whatever. Luckily, I have a natural inclination to avoid all human contact anyway, so this would be no problem for me. Also, her speed of sight is usually slow enough where adjustments can be made no problem, but you can really just hide once and stay there the whole time. Even times where she suddenly looks out of the sketchbook or game console is forecasted and outside of the boundaries of the normal hiding spots. And regardless of the level layout, you can cross it. Just don't take too long. Gamer is survivable, but spooky. In the Garden of Hope, it doesn't matter where you run, it doesn't matter where you hide. Giant Crab will find and get you. There is no hope in this place. Garden of Hope is unsurvivable. Town and City is an interesting case. We covered in a previous video with Smashville that the angle of the background doesn't bother me due to it paying homage to the newly instilled curvature of the land in Animal Crossing Wild World. But this stage has something that Smashville does not. Travel between the village and the city. But to know how dangerous this is, I need to know how fast we're actually going. We're going faster than the bus, but that's not nearly specific enough for me. I'm afraid to say, we're gonna need math. Speed equals distance divided by time. This bus seems to be going rather slowly, which makes sense since it's going around pretty sharp curves. From what I've found, the guideline for the speed at which buses should be making turns is about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Now we'll find 2 points of both the bus and the platform we're on cross through. Let's say these 2 trees. The bus takes 1.88 seconds for the middle of the bus to get from one tree to the other, and it takes the platform 0.39 seconds to get from one to the other. So we get the distance by multiplying the speed of the bus by the time, so depending on if we go 10 miles per hour or 15 miles per hour, that's gonna be one of these distances. Then we can multiply those with the time it takes for the platform to cover that distance to find that the platform is moving somewhere between 48 to 72 miles per hour. Going to our handy dandy wind chart that relays the air drag you would be experiencing while standing on top of the platform, at either of those speeds, not great! Can we narrow it down even more though? I think we can. Looking at those distances we solved for, we're looking at 27 to 41 feet depending on how fast the bus is actually going. The bus in the game is actually almost the exact length of the gap between the 2 trees, and the standard transit or school bus is 35 to 45 feet, so it is more than likely traveling closer to 15 miles per hour, meaning the platform is likely traveling closer to 72 miles per hour. And now you know. Regardless, because the platform has nothing to assist in keeping you on top of it, you would likely have an extremely hard time not flying off. Therefore, Town and City is unsurvivable. The Wii Fit Studio is unsurprisingly harmless. And odd. Like, this treadmill is at a weird angle. Like, is he watching her? Dang, she can do a lot of push-ups. Anyways, you can run across no problem. And every once in a while, everything dissolves into a yoga demonstration, but that's fine. Is this guy naked? They legally have to tell me if he's naked or it's entrapment. Because if he is, I'll take a 1-year membership. Wii Fit Studio is survivable. While the boxing ring looks very exciting, absolutely nothing happens on this stage, and you can run and jump across it with relative ease. Boxing ring is survivable. Man, Gaur Plain is pretty. Unfortunately, this gap is too large to jump across, and falling to the lower platform is not happening, so we're stuck over here. Luckily, it's nice and peaceful, with not too much... Whoa. What was that? Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh! Well, oof. Come here often? Okay, yeah, there's one huge danger, and that's Metal Face. And since you're stuck in one spot, it's only a matter of time before he flying lances you or gets you with his laser. It might have taken 1 real-life hour for him to land on the left side of the stage, but it happened. Gaur Plain is unsurvivable. While it certainly doesn't seem ideal to be on this side of the screen for Duck Hunt, luckily no one shoots at the screen, which means we can both survive and cross it. Duck Hunt is survivable. With Wrecking Crew, we once again quickly find ourselves in a situation that doesn't look ideal. And I simply must test getting close to the bombs. For science. Oh, okay, they don't go off when you get close to them. Or ever without being attacked, so we can survive and cross safely since nothing else changes on the stage. Wrecking Crew is survivable. Now, we've talked about why you couldn't ride on top of aircrafts before, but I thought Pilotwings would be a good time to discuss wing walking, since there have been plenty of documented instances of people standing and doing a variety of other dangerous stunts on top of biplanes, like the ones in the Pilotwings stage. In fact, when researching this, the one that blew my mind the most was performed by Gladys Engel, the only female member of the 1920 stunt group the 13 Black Cats, who specialized in aerial stunts. Engel had a famous act where she would do a live tire change of a plane, transferring from one plane to another and putting the spare tire on, all without a parachute. Absolutely wild. Another member of the 13 Black Cats, Ivan Unger and Gladys Roy, a different Gladys, performed a stunt where they would pretend to play tennis on top of a plane. Even today, although rare, there are aerialist stunt performers who do wing walking tricks. Heck, you can even sign up to wing walk yourself and experience going upside down on top of a plane. So how is it possible to do all these things on a plane if it's going 80 plus miles an hour? Well, harnesses, wires, poles, constant points of contact, and using the same techniques acrobats use for trapeze and other aerial tricks. Modern day wing walking, especially the kind that you can experience yourself, involve being harnessed onto a pole at the top of the plane, sometimes even in a slightly seated position. When transferring to that pole at about 60 miles per hour, wing walkers are trained to keep a constant 3 points of contact with the plane at all times, using the wires, poles, and handholds to climb both up and down to the top harness, and along the lower wing to get to what's called the javelin. The trick to staying on the javelin, much like when stunt performers do tricks like these, is utilizing the same methods that other aerial artists use to safely hold their positions, wrapping their legs and locking their ankles so that you don't budge. Now, those stunts I showed you from the 20s didn't use harnesses, but you can even see in the tennis one how they're using their legs, ankles, and feet to wrap around and support themselves via the wires and poles on the plane. Or how when they move, they still establish these points of contact and have to hold on. Now, remember when I said just because someone does something doesn't mean it's not a very silly, dangerous thing to do? Yeah, in the 1930s, after a large number of wing walking deaths, the US government outlawed wing walking without a parachute and wing walking below 1,500 feet, which pretty much put an end to aerial stunting as audiences couldn't really see stunts performed above that altitude. Modern day wing walkers are also attached to the plane via a safety cable because things can go wrong, and although doable with training, it is, in fact, dangerous. So back to the game. This biplane has poles and wires, yes, but glide a single we are not. We are not transferring between planes like this. And especially on this new plane, we ain't making it out alive. Pilotwings is unsurvivable. For pretty much the same reason, we're gonna fall right off of the platform in Wuhu Island. What, you think that flimsy little antenna's gonna hold me for 5 hours? No, it's gonna snap like a twig and I'm gonna fall into a volcano. Wuhu Island is unsurvivable. I'm a little shocked at the lack of excitement on the Sonic stages. Like, Green Hill Zone didn't really do a whole lot, and now Windy Hill Zone doesn't do anything? Doesn't Sonic seem like the perfect series for a fast-traveling stage? Very confusing. But yeah, you can easily survive and run on this stage, so Windy Hill Zone is survivable. Moving along to Wily's Castle, you would definitely want to stay away from these rocket propellers to avoid face meltage, and then there's something happening here. I don't know if that's supposed to do something. Oh! Come here often? Oh, okay, yeah, you would die. This guy locks on with his blasts, and him moving across the stage also hurts you, so we're not gonna make it. Wily Castle is unsurvivable. Whoa, Pac-Land takes me right on back. You gotta respect the OG Microsoft Paint looking games for sparking a whole indie horror style. Anyways, in Pac-Land you have to navigate around obstacles and platform through various areas before coming right back to the beginning and doing it all over again. It's pretty easy up until this point. Even with the magic quick shoes the fairy gave me, it was shockingly hard to land these jumps. And to be fair, there were maybe a lot of times where I was just straight up sloppy, but that can happen in real life too. You also just wouldn't be able to jump on the clouds at all, and jumping across these falling logs would be a huge feat. Not to mention that the level loops and you can never really stop to take a break, so there's no way I would still have the energy to do this by round 2 or 3. I mean, I'd be like 3 steps in and give up, but you get it. Pac-Land is unsurvivable. Super Mario Maker, oh, well, okay, our legs are just broken now. Why would they drop us from that height? I'm 6 foot, so ratio-wise, that's a 33-foot drop. But this particular stage actually has several variations, so let's try again. Whoa, what? Okay, well, look, they're not all like this, but I think that if it's randomized and we can't survive on at least 2 of them, we can't say it's a completely survivable stage. Super Mario Maker as a whole package is unsurvivable. Suzaku Castle is another stunning one setting-wise, and it doesn't transform or anything, so there are really no hazards. However, while we can maybe make that jump to cross from the left side of the stage to the right, we can't cross it going the other way, making Suzaku Castle survivable but not crossable. Usually when a stage has a few platforms like Midgar does, I like to stay underneath them, just because it seems a little safer. Oh, what's this? Aha! See what I mean? Safe. What is it? I mean, no way in hell am I gonna touch that. Alright, maybe just once. Ooh. Okay. I immediately regret it. Come here. Oh! Jeez. Okay, well, in an alternate timeline where I didn't touch it, nothing ever happens. And even if you do, the one who touches it seems to be completely magically protected from whatever attack happens. I tested it. A bunch. And you can cross it. Midgar is survivable. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Umbra clock tower lovers, I don't want to hear it. There's no way. I mean, what are we doing here? Oh, just when you thought things couldn't get any worse. Actually, it doesn't matter. We'd be a speck in the distance by this point. Umbra Clock Tower is unsurvivable. Whoa, New Donk City is giving me major Prism Tower vibes. Like, really, that's just a reskin. And let's see if they boof it at the top, like in Prism Tower, and yep, there it is. You hate to see it. New Donk City is unsurvivable. Great Plateau Tower is an extremely straightforward tower. It's just a tower. Nothing changes. You can cross it too. So I would say, oh, hello. Deep. Okay. Great Plateau Tower is survivable. Wow, tower after tower after tower. Moray Towers is the first one where running across it actually means running down it, which is confusing, but I'm into it. Even in the nighttime version of the stage, there are no real hazards, so Moray Towers is survivable. Hope you've got your AV shot, because Dracula's castle has a bit of a bat problem. Seems easy enough to cross. Oh, I'm gonna stay over here, actually. All right, slowly shambling to the foreground. What's it gonna do? Wow, did you practice that? Ooh, okay, here's another monster. Oh, Medusa head! Just kind of floating around. These monsters aren't very scary. Oh shoot, hold on, here we go! Now this guy! Oh, you're gonna get it, DK. Okay, now hold on. I have a theory these guys don't do jack. You know what, we're gonna test it. Come on, werewolf. Come on, I'm right here. Fresh meat on a platter. No, you have very cool parkour, but you wanna attack me? Huh? No, that's what I thought. The monsters in Dracula's castle are just background decoration. So Dracula's castle is shockingly innocent and definitely survivable. So here's the survivability of all the stages we covered today. And only 3 huge tangents in this one. Which tangent was your favorite? Did you like learning about lava hazards, the speed of the Animal Crossing platform, or wing walking? And then here is the survivability and crossability of all 104 base game stages of Smash Bros. Ultimate. What a journey we've been on. But one final question remains. Would you want to see the 11 DLC stages? Let me know that, plus your favorite tangent in the comments. Subscribe if you want to see more profoundly ridiculous and ridiculously profound questions about video games. And now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go see if I can convince the Wii Fit trainer to teach me her infinite push-up magic. But I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!
Goombanna is the wonder why she didn't come to play. Gaming vids that'll make you laugh and think and put them on replay. Intelligent, kind and funny, her community's #1. Stick around and kick your feet up. Goombanna has just begun.